All right, now let's talk about microphone placement. Now, this is not going to be some crazy in-depth video because these things are very, very simple, especially if you are just getting used to this and you're just starting out, or you're even in that intermediate stage and you're just trying to get better with the finer details of recording. This is very simple stuff. I'm only going to share 3 basic points in this video, but if you run with these, then you won't really have to worry about it anymore unless you are experimenting. These can 100% be your defaults. These are my defaults. And then I only deviate from these defaults when I'm just in the mood to try something else, right? To like angle the microphone differently towards a guitar, or maybe if I just want a very ambient room type of recording on a background yell or an ad lib, I might step way back from the microphone, right? So there's always those types of things. You can always experiment with these things, but I'm talking about base level, default, what should your approach be with regards to mic placement? So let's dive in. The first thing when it comes to mic placement for vocal recordings is take a step back from the microphone. Now, this is going to apply to the majority of you guys watching this because one of the common bad habits of younger, or not, I just mean beginner musicians and those of you trying to get good at this recording and production game, one of the things that often happens is you eat the mic. I used to do this too, all right? I'm as guilty of this as anyone. We'll eat the mic because we think that's going to sound better because it's more of the presence. And now, almost eating the mic is actually great for talking, right? Because it helps kind of give you a nice, low, chesty sound, right? Boom, boom, to give that type of flavor. But when I'm talking, there's not a bass guitar playing. There's not a kick drum and a snare drum and 2 electric guitars jamming out and my vocal having to cut through all of that. My vocal is standing alone. So when a vocal stands alone, that is when you want more of that full frequency spectrum and you want all those low frequencies, because that is what happens when you eat the mic and you stand very close to the mic or sit close to the mic when recording, is you get a lot of excess low frequencies. You get that buildup. And that can just become problematic in the mixing phase. It'll just make your vocals harder to mix, and you'll wonder, why do my vocals sound so muddy and lost in the mix all the time? It's not that this is the only time or the only reason that would happen, but this is a reason, is you're eating the mic and you're singing too close to it when you're recording. So a general rule of thumb is it's about 6 inches, right? 6 to 12 inches away from the microphone. So if you're not used to it, I actually want you to get a tape measure or a ruler and actually look and actually get a sense and a feel for how far away that actually is. Because if you're used to just by habit being very close to the mic, it's going to seem very far away. Like this is probably about 12 inches away right here. This is going to seem extremely far away at first, but you got to get used to it because it's going to help the end result. It's going to make your vocal easier to mix. So 6 to 12 inches. As I said at the beginning, these are defaults. You can run with these. You never have to break these rules. You can, but these are just great defaults that you can live by for decades to come. So 6 to 12 inches. And if you're used to eating the mic, take a step back. There is one exception, I will say, though, that I'll mention here, or one caveat to eating the mic or taking a step back. And that is if your vocal recording is super, super whispery, if it has that Billie Eilish texture, and there's barely any volume, or if it's very falsetto-y and super light to where you don't have all of that chest resonance coming through anyway, then by all means, you can actually be right up on the microphone and you could end up with a really nice warm tone that could translate very well to a mix. So there are those types of exceptions, but everything else, whenever you're singing normally, whenever you have any type of tone that isn't super light and whispery like this, and it's just more normal tone, take a step back from the microphone, your vocals and your vocal mix will thank you for it. So that's point number 1. Now, point number 2 is the most basic thing. So when it comes to where should you aim in terms of like up and down with the microphone, side to side, should you angle it? Whatever, just keep it simple, guys. Just aim for the center of the microphone. Like, that's all that matters. If you do that, you can just follow that rule until the end of time and you'll be good to go. All right? Don't overthink it. Just aim for the center of the microphone. Now, this might require a bit of awareness because often what happens, especially if you have a habit of looking at your phone for the lyrics when you're recording, what might happen is you might be projecting here when the microphone is here. Like, you can't be doing that, especially if you go back and forth. It's going to affect the tone and it's not going to sound very professional. So what you want to do is be cognizant of where the microphone is and then try to sing into the center of the microphone. Don't be meticulous about this. All right, let's actually take a step back again real quickly to point number 1, because this plays into it, where when you take a step back from the microphone, that actually frees you up to get more into the song, to move around a bit, to really feel the groove of the song, and to do it as if you were performing the song live. If you can take a step back from the microphone, it allows you, it doesn't affect the tone as much versus if you're like here and then here and then here. If you're super close, those little deviations make a huge difference versus the difference between this and this and this is far less, and that's very passable, and you can 100% work through that. Because if you're doing this and you're moving around a bit and you're going with the flow of the music in your headphones when you're recording, the sound and the take and the emotion, the energy, it's probably going to be there. It's probably going to be much better. So, by all means, you don't have to be a statue. Don't be a robot and just sing like this. No. You can move around, but it's really hard to do that and to do it well if you're really up close. So again, take a step back. And once again, for point number 2 here, just aim for the center of the microphone. Don't complicate it. And finally, point number 3 has to do with where you place the microphone in the room that you're in. So this is, again, super simple, very basic. Just follow this rule, okay? Here's the rule. Put the microphone in the center of the room, or as close to the center of the room as possible, and that's it. The reason we do this is because we want to find the place in our room where it takes the reflections that are bouncing off the walls, because again, none of us have perfect rooms. Many of us don't have the perfect acoustic treatment or even enough acoustic treatment. I don't have enough yet. I just moved into this space. I didn't put enough in yet. But if you have something like a reflection filter, that helps as well. And then if you're in the center of the room, that really helps as well, so that it takes longer for those frequencies to come back into the microphone, so that the majority of the sound, the vast majority, is that the first reflection, the first signal coming straight out of your mouth into the microphone, and not all of those reverberations. So the main point is, don't put your microphone right up against the wall and sing into it. Move the mic as far away from any walls as possible and just move it to the center of the room, and you're good to go. So that, my friend, those are the 3 main points. Very basic stuff, but still important. We just want to check off the boxes like a checklist. Just check off these technical things so that we can actually go full focus and full steam ahead with creativity, with actually getting the vocals that we want, recording them in a very emotional and believable way, and then of course editing and then mixing them and adding all of that spice later on in the process. So those are the ABCs of mic placement. Thank you for watching this lesson. I'll see you in the next one.